That day, everyone in the office was very happy. The monthly sales target had been achieved, and it was also Friday. Everyone was making plans to celebrate the weekend with their families. There was another celebration that evening. It was Liza's birthday. Liza had just joined the office a few days earlier, and it was her first job. Everyone decided to throw a surprise party for her inside the office. Liza had no idea about it, so everyone started planning together. In the evening, all the colleagues were laughing, smiling, and joking around. The conference room had been beautifully decorated, with lights, and a big cake was placed in the center. Liza was getting ready to leave the office when her close friend Catherine went to her and brought her to the conference room as per the plan. Seeing the decoration in the conference room, Liza was surprised. She had no idea about the celebration and was genuinely taken aback. But the biggest shock came when she saw the cake on the table. Suddenly, she tried to run away from the office, startling everyone. Everyone was stunned. What had happened? They thought Liza would be delighted. They had all worked hard for the entire day to prepare this. John, the head of the branch, asked Liza, "What happened? Why do you look so scared?" Liza's response left everyone bewildered. She explained, "Everything else is fine, but please remove the cake. I have been afraid of cakes since childhood." John and the others were taken aback upon hearing this, but he still asked one of the employees to remove the cake. However, some found this amusing and asked, "How can a birthday celebration happen without a cake?" To accommodate everyone's wishes, John requested Liza again, but when he looked at her, he could see the fear clearly on her face. Liza was so terrified standing in front of the cake that John felt it was not right. Still, others insisted, and since everyone needed to finish and leave the office, Liza agreed. She reluctantly approached the cake with a knife. John noticed that her hands were trembling and that she was visibly scared. Somehow, she managed to cut the cake. Everyone began singing the happy birthday song, but John could see that Liza was not enjoying it at all. She even threw the knife away. Then, an incident occurred that no one was prepared for. An employee, Benjamin, suddenly took a piece of cake and playfully smeared it on Liza's face. Liza screamed loudly. At that moment, the lights went out. Everyone was shocked by her scream that they just stood still in the darkness. Suddenly, John and the others came to their senses. It was unusual because there was no power outage in the office. When the lights went out, they saw that the cake had fallen. Someone called out for Liza, but John noticed that she was not there. Gradually, everyone realized that Liza was missing, but they didn't pay much attention to it. Everyone had to go home, so they slowly started to leave the conference room. The entire office was now shrouded in darkness. They moved in groups, and there was a strange silence in the office. Suddenly, a loud thud was heard. Ria, who was the first to leave the conference room, was seen screaming. She had a file in her hand, which had now fallen to the floor, and fear was evident on her face. In a terrified voice, she said, "Someone is here. Liza." Then another loud thud was heard, this time from the corner of the office. John and other two employees decided to run towards it. When they got there, they saw a workstation overturned and a small stream of blood was flowing from underneath it. John turned on his flashlight and saw Benjamin's lifeless body lying there. His eyes had turned black and there was a strange smile on his face, as if he had seen something that could drive a person mad. Benjamin's head was twisted around and his face bore an expression of terror. Suddenly a loud noise was heard and they looked back. Near a wall, a shadowy figure began to appear. Everyone looked in horror and saw that it was none other than Liza. One employee, Janelia, had gotten too close to Liza. John tried to save her, but he was unsuccessful. In front of everyone, Janelia died at Liza's hand. The others started running away from there. No one knew who was running in which direction. They were all just trying to get out of the office building somehow. They saw that all the doors were closed and there was no security guard either. Perhaps Liza had killed them all. Suddenly, someone saw an open door. Everyone knew that it led to the office roof. Seeing no other option, they all started running towards it. They made it to the roof, but nobody knew what to do from there. The only option was to jump down. which would mean certain death. Everyone was confused, and the hope of survival was slowly fading away. Suddenly, a noise came from the direction of the balcony door. They quickly looked in that direction. There, they saw Liza standing near the rooftop door. The employees realized there was no point in running anymore. They all jumped from the roof and fell, leading to their deaths. John was on the lower floor at that time and was trying to keep his mind calm despite the situation. He felt great regret, remembering how many times Liza had requested not to cut the cake. And there was no need to smear cake on her face. John thought, as a boss, if he had been stricter, perhaps this situation could have been avoided. But now, there was no point in thinking. Death was written for everyone. He kept looking for another exit, hoping to find another door somehow. Suddenly, he heard some noise. He moved ahead and saw a large box, and the noise was coming from behind it. He went behind the box and saw a few employees hiding there. Their faces had turned pale with fear. He hid there with them. Then the sound of footsteps could be heard. From the sound alone, everyone understood that Liza had arrived. She had come down from the roof. Everyone held their breath. After a while, when she seemed to leave, they came out and continued searching for an exit, but they could not find any way to reach the office doors. Then they saw an open door in the distance. Filled with hope, they were overjoyed and ran towards it. Just as they were about to reach the door, Liza suddenly appeared in front of them. John realized it was Liza's trap. The death toll began again. John started running in the opposite direction and saw the washroom door. He quickly entered and locked it from inside. A little later, he heard the sound of broken branches and understood that Liza was searching for him. John was sure that by now, no other employee would be alive. His death would complete Liza's revenge. He was very tired. His eyes were heavy with fatigue. Even he heard a loud banging on the door. John knew that opening the door was equivalent to death. He felt that Liza had seen him enter. He kept quiet, not making a sound. Liza kept banging on the door with such force that it seemed like it could break at any moment. Only that door stood between John and death. After a while, the door did break. John was hiding under a basin. Liza looked around a bit and then left the washroom. John slowly moved towards the washroom door. Then he saw that a door a little further away was open. He knew that path led to the back alley. He approached it eagerly. He was almost there when suddenly something heavy fell on him and he collapsed to the ground. John realized that Liza had deliberately left that door open so that he would run towards it. John was now waiting for death. He was in great pain and began to scream loudly. Then suddenly he heard some noises coming from the direction of the open door. He saw with dimming eyes that Liza was also looking towards the door. After that, he remembered nothing. When he regained consciousness, he was in hospital bed. The doctors told him that he had been unconscious for 7 days. After recovering a little, he learned that some people sleeping on the footpath outside had heard his screams and came to the open door, where they found him in a wounded state. Those people had informed the police, who came and admitted him to the hospital. John gave a full account of what happened in the office that night to the police. Liza had not been seen again. Based on circumstantial evidences, the police believed John's story. However, investigation was still ongoing. John was haunted by the fear of where Liza might be hiding, knowing that she knew he was the only one alive from that night. John knew that one day Liza would come to finish her unfinished business.